which is actually a very special project close to my heart. I happen to love this project. It is called TuniSigner, a virtual avatar to interpret SignWriting notations. And it is a presentation from Tunisia. There's a computer programmer named Yosra Bouzid. I hope I didn't mispronounce that. And her professor, Mohammed Jemni, at the University of Tunis, I believe. And Yosra has been working for many years on an avatar. An avatar, as you may know, is like a moving figure inside a computer program. And it's almost like an animated doll, but it moves. And here, I'm going to click on a screen right now just to give you a picture that Steve put up. See, there's the avatar. Now, are we sharing your screen, Steve? Do you think they can see the interpreter?
In theory, they should be able to see the interpreter, yes.
So could I talk while we are, well, you're going to be playing a video. Is that what's going to happen?
Well, there's a video and the slideshow presentation that we have, so we can start with either one.
Well, why don't we go back to me for just 1 minute, and let me explain the situation.
Sure.
What happened is that Yosra can't present today. This is really sad because I was so looking forward to meeting her in person, but that will happen someday, believe me. In fact, I promised her that in the future, as soon as we all can get together again on Google Hangouts, we'll do a special live broadcast just for her work, and then we'll be able to add it into perhaps the video or something similar to this video that's being recorded right now, because normally Yosra would be sitting right here with us from Tunisia telling us about her project over so many years. It's my understanding that Yosra is using something called SWML, SignWriting Markup Language. In fact, why don't I ask Steve to tell us just really briefly about SignWriting Markup Language. What is it, Steve? I have the screen on you now. Oh, we can't hear you, darn. I'm sorry.
Just turned on my mic. The SignWriting Markup Language,
yeah.
It's an older form of notation that we use to write down what each of the signs represents. It's basically an XML file, which if you've ever looked at the source code of a web page, which is HTML, you get the same idea. Everything starts with the greater than and less than quotes, and it has tags, and it has information embedded. And so our new format of the formal signwriting is equivalent to the SignWriting markup language. Our current format is just a lot more succinct, where the older notation is a lot bigger, more verbose, and you need to have a XML process in order to read it and process that information.
Well, that's probably enough for all of us because we're not necessarily programmers. So I'm going to go back to myself for just a minute. Thank you, Steve, for that very interesting discussion. And to explain, I believe Yosra actually started her programming project at the university. I believe she started it when we were still using SWML. I'm not sure. It was many years ago. And then Steve, as you just heard, updated our software to something else. But Yosra, I believe, continued to use SWML, and the project seems to be doing really well. The thing that I like is the design. As a total layperson, just looking at this avatar, it is really amazing, and that's why I would enjoy presenting for Yosra today. I promised her I would do this. So we have several opportunities. One is she gave us her PowerPoint without any, talking. And then she also gave us a video where she was looking at her PowerPoint and talking in English and describing it as if she were here in person. So it was like a video of her presentation. And that's video 2, Steve, on her presentation 23 webpage. The other video that she gave us, which is video 1, is the actual demo of the avatar moving. And the only sound in the background happens to be music, which I think we could mute and possibly watch the entire video. And if we could, it would show you how this avatar moves and what it does. The program is more than just an avatar. It's not just showing that somebody can program an avatar using SignWriting source code or SignWriting related source codes. It's more than that. Yosra has designed a charming interface that makes it possible for people to learn SignWriting from using the Avatar program. It's called TuniSigner. And she has a web page, a website that is really beautiful. And I read some of the documentation on her site, and I was quite touched by her goal, which is to bring literacy in written Tunisian Sign Language through the Avatar. So thank you very much, Yosra, for everything you have done. And now we're going to attempt to present your work. And please forgive for any reason we say something that isn't accurate. You can always correct us later. Okay, so Steve, shall we try the video? What should we do? You have something up right now, don't you?
Yes, I have the video demo, I believe.
Shall we? Wait, let's look at that first. I'm going to click on it now, and why don't we try to play that? Go ahead.
Okay. All right, that was it.
Okay. So we are back to us right now. Now that was not a slideshow. Somebody in the question-answer booth just said that our slideshow was not showing the interpreter. But we weren't interpreting because it was a completely quiet video with no talking whatsoever. I don't know whether our interpreters will show up or not, and I think everybody should understand that we ourselves do not know what is showing up and what isn't. We can't even see what other people see. So we're doing our best with many different kinds of media, and I think we're doing very well because we are donating this to the world. So everybody, we're going to add language later, and you'll be able to review these videos for a very long time in the future. So now, I'd like to tell you more about the project we just saw. I thought that video was very clear, didn't you, what was happening? You have the beautiful avatar who is able to be turned around and rotated in different directions. And Yosra showed there in that video how you could push a button and it could go back or closer. You know, it moved in and out and it rotated. And then a person could look at a row of signs written in SignWriting. And you could take your mouse and you could go over the signs and they would show pictures of what it meant. But then you could click on one of those signs and I believe the avatar would do the movements of those signs. I think that that's incredible because if it could be developed further, it would be a way for demonstrations, for demonstrating all kinds of sign languages. You know, if I were in a classroom and I had brand new experience not knowing the sign language and somebody showed me a written sign, I'd like to have somebody show me what that is. It's nice to have the avatar be able to do that for people right on their computer. So Yosra has really developed a really nice program because it's more than just programming an avatar, which is hard enough as it is, let alone also add all the education materials related to it. And I noticed that she had several courses in different sign languages, I believe. I need to go look at her website again. But she had a pull-down menu showing, you know, I believe it was Tunisian Sign Language and maybe ASL. I don't know. I got to go look. So now we do have a slide. Now, Steve, if I click on this, up comes the actual PowerPoint. Steve, can you hear me for a minute?
Yeah.
Yes, let me ask you, there's also a video too where she's actually talking and reading from her PowerPoint. And the only thing that I can read actually just as well, obviously, because it is in English, it's just towards the end, there are some diagrams. And the diagrams I wouldn't know how to describe because I'm not an expert on her program, of course. So should we go ahead and let me read each screen, since we do have all the way until 10:45 until the next presentation? Should I just read out loud? And do you think that Adam is seen and he's interpreting? If
I believe Adam is showing up when we're showing the full screen. That's what Adam said happened yesterday.
I think Adam just said no, he's not. He's not showing up. He just said no in America. Please sit down, Nancy. Come, you want to sit with me? You're most welcome to. This is going to take a long time. I'm presenting. Sorry, our lovely Nancy just arrived. We are doing this because we want Yosra's work to be shown, and we're going to do our best. Yosra couldn't come today to present, and she's here. This is Nancy, everybody. Come on, say hi. There's Nancy Romero. Remember, Nancy presented back on Monday. Okay, here we are looking at the website, and is this your desktop that you're sharing, Steve?
Yes, yes, it is.
So, Adam, do you think that you're showing up now? You think so, maybe. Okay, we'll find out, won't we? Yeah, okay. So good. Adam is hoping that he's showing up.
Okay, so I'm just going to play this video. It's about 10.5 minutes.
Okay, is this video too? Yeah, okay, let's play it and see if we can understand her. You're going to have to turn up the sound very high because she's speaking. Okay, thank you. And Adam, no, it's not going to show up now, he says, Adam says. Why is that? Are we sharing your desktop, Steve?
Yes, I'm sharing the desktop on my other computer.
But the video doesn't apparently allow Adam to show up, I guess. It's only websites? Is that what it is? We're so baffled by this. Isn't it confusing? Yeah.
I can do what I was trying to do yesterday, which is put that up and put
Maybe you
that
can even
up.
play it from the web page like that. Yeah. I think that works, right?
All right, this is what I was trying yesterday. We can try it again. You ready?
Yeah, okay. Let's see if we can hear her.
Hello everybody, this is Bouzid from Tunisia. I will be
Ah, no, it's no good. We're getting, echo and kind of noise. So I'm going to make a suggestion. Let's put the real PowerPoint back on, slide by slide, and we'll do it the right way. I will talk by reading out loud for everybody, and then I'll go back. Is it in a situation? Oh, is that on the desktop? So could I just read from it without Adam losing the ability to interpret for me? You think you're showing up, Adam?
He is showing up now the way I have it.
Okay, so I'm going to read out loud because that's exactly what Yosra did. I actually listened to her video that we were just trying to show you, everybody, and she was just reading out loud from these very screens that we're looking at. So I'm going to do the same and make it possible. So here we go. And maybe Nancy would even like to take over occasionally. We're just reading out loud so that people will at least hear it and get an American Sign Language interpretation. This is Yosra's work, everyone. TuniSigner, an avatar-based system to interpret signwriting notations, by Yosra, Bouzid, and Mohammed Jemni from the research laboratory LaTICE, University of Tunis in Tunisia. And this is for the International Signwriting Symposium 21 through 24, July 2014. Isn't that exciting? Thank you, Yosra. Let's go to the next slide, please. We hear that, by the way, that yes, Adam is showing up so people can see the interpreting. Bravo. So now Yosra says, this is an overview. Sign language is an integral part and an identifying feature of membership in the deaf culture. According to the World Federation of the Deaf, there are about 70 million deaf people who use sign language as their first language or mother tongue. Sign language is a complex, natural language with its own grammatical rules and syntax, but does not have, until now, a widely established writing system. Next slide, please. Would you like to start reading out loud? Nancy's going to do the rest of the reading. I'm grateful. Thank you, honey.
Okay, overview.
Just speak loudly.
The lack of a standard writing system for SL limits the possibility to provide information, e.g. on the web, directly in a form equivalent to the signed content. Deaf people are often required to access information and knowledge in a language that is not natural to them, and this can cause serious accessibility problems in their daily lives, especially for those that have low literacy skills. Around 80% of deaf people worldwide have an insufficient education, literacy problems, and lower verbal skills. Next slide. Thank you. The advantages of SL written forms. The main benefit of having an SL written form is that deaf signers could express, share, and record their ideas and thoughts on paper without translating it all the time. Learn new things and skills outside of oral communication. Improve their ability to comprehend and acquire the written versions of oral language. Next slide, please. SL writing systems. A good writing system for a sign language should have an approximately 1-to-1 correspondence between symbol and sign formational aspect. Should handle the three-dimensionality of signing. Should not be difficult to write or read. There are coexisting proposed writing systems for sign language, of which the following are some examples. Stokie System, Hamburg Notation System. I'm going to have to spell this. HAMNOSYS, and SignWriting. Next slide, please. SL Writing Systems.
Sign language, right?
Thank you.
That's what that means. It means sign language.
Okay, Stokie Notation. It was the first phonemic script used for sign languages. It closely reflects a linguistic analysis of sign language structure, focused primarily on the sign's manual component. It does not include non-manual components like facial expressions and body movements. It was not meant to be used for writing full sentences. It has been used mostly by linguists and researchers. Next slide, please. Okay, Gnosis.
That's right.
Gnosis Notation is designed to be able to write any sign language precisely. It provides a linear representation of sign language constituent units. It does not provide an easy way to describe the NMFs.
And non-manuals.
Non-manuals. Okay. It is extremely difficult to use it for transcribing sequences of signs and actual sign discourse. It has been used mostly by linguists and researchers. Next slide, please. Sign language writing system. SignWriting Notation. SignWriting is designed to be appropriate for any sign language. It uses a highly iconic symbols set that can be combined to describe any sign. It can easily indicate facial expressions, body movements, and long speech segments. It is conceived to be used in writing sign languages for the same purposes hearing people commonly use written oral languages. Next slide, please. SignWriting Notation. Although SignWriting closely visually resembles the concrete signs, a training to learn to interpret the static transcriptions is needed for deaf signers who are accustomed to use their native language in a visual-gestural modality. The bidimensional representation of SignWriting notations may inadvertently create confusion and ambiguity to these signers, since the three-dimensional nature of signing cannot be fully reflected into a symbolic transcription. Next slide, please. We propose an avatar-based system to automatically interpret the exact gestures represented within SignWriting transcriptions. The virtual avatar is driven by an animation software which generates motion data in real time from a scripting language called SWML, which means Sign Modeling Language, designed for describing signing gestures. Signing Avatar provides a cost-effective and efficient way to make sign language notation content more accessible to deaf users. Next slide. A virtual avatar driven by animation software provides an attractive alternative to video. Sign content can be created by one person on a desktop computer. No video capture equipment is required. The user has extra control that is not possible with video. The view angle can be continuously adjusted during playback. Details of the animation content can be edited without having to re-record the whole sequence. Disk space demands to store sign descriptions are negligible. Our system architecture is divided mainly into 3 parts. The first part is devoted to parse, P-A-R-S-E, and process the SignWriting notations, which are provided in an XML-based format, SWML. The second part is dedicated to provide a linguistic representation for each notation in order to specify how correspondent signs are articulated. The third part is devoted to convert the obtained linguistic representations to SML, which is sign modeling language, for rendering avatar animations. And here we go. Starting with parsing and processing the SignWriting notation, goes down to the next square that says identifying the explicit linguistic representation of the sign. And the next square to the right says scripting and generating animations, XML sign modeling language, which is SML. System description part 1. The SignWriting markup language, SWML, is an encoding format for the SignWriting documents using XML, which is extensible markup language. SWML does not save any order in which the symbols are entered to create a sign. The symbols are simply positioned in 2D sign box. SWML does not describe the relation between the symbols, while their relation can have various meanings. And it looks like the sign for have underneath. And in tiny print, it says the SWML encoding of the sign. Oh dear. That's too small.
That's okay.
Sorry.
It's all right.
I read the sign. Okay, let's go.
Okay,
Thank
it is
you.
pretty hard, isn't it?
Thank you. That's all right. Oh,
Go right ahead.
Steve, you're awesome.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Now, the sign for have. The SWML encoding of the sign have does not provide any information to indicate if the contact occurs between the two hands or between the hands and the signer's body. Good point. Uh-oh. Looks like another one that needs to be magnified. Sorry. Okay. Okay, it looks like the sign for broke.
Wow. I think that's source code, isn't it?
I have no idea.
That's really hard to show. Can people see it?
I don't know. Adam, can you see it?
What about just reading up in here, up the top boxes, and just explain? You don't have to read all that.
Okay.
It's impossible.
It's a darn good sign. All right. Feature extraction moves to USS identification and classification of a sign. And then it moves to sorting symbols list and identifying their relationship. And then at the very top it says rule based. Okay. Very technical.
Yeah, I think that Yosra can explain this better next time when she presents herself.
Of course.
But meanwhile, let's make it bigger too, because it is hard to see. Can you see it, Nancy?
Well, I can read it.
All right, you go ahead and read the rest of it. It's great. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Steve. I even have glasses on. All right. Rendering sign language in the form of 3D animation requires the definition of all relevant features of signing gestures, which are phonemes. So we've got a little graphic here. And then it says on the bottom, however, SWML is not complete enough and phonologically based enough to be used for the underlying linguistic representation of a sign. It is merely an XML adaptation of sign writing, which can provide information about the relative position of each basic symbol in the notation. Okay, part 2. The linguistic model of the sign needs to be constructed in order to ensure the correct performance of avatar gestures. And I guess that's an example.
Okay, well here, I'll come sit with you. We'll do it together now. Okay.
I don't think you could read that either.
No, I can't. Of course not. My goodness. Isn't this interesting?
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming everybody can see Adam as well when you enlarge the screen like this.
Yeah, that's a question we don't know the answer to. We'll find out when we watch today's broadcast.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's just the way it is. But
will that work? Well, then please make it smaller, and I'll do my best to read it.
Well, we're not going to read the source code, honey. That's ridiculous. Just there. It's okay.
No.
Yeah, make it smaller.
That's fine.
There we go.
Fine.
That's
Thank
great.
You, okay. This one says gesture description. Moves over to movement specification using SML, and then moves to animation. Okay, part 3. The sign modeling language, SML, is an XML-based descriptive language developed by WebSign team to provide an extra layer around X3D and facilitate the 3D virtual agent manipulation. SML describes the avatar animations in terms of translations and Euler, E-U-L-E-R, rotations of a group of joints in a fixed time. It is able to control not only hand gestures, but also facial expressions and body movements. SML script is interpreted by an animation solver based on inverse kinematics to perform the analytic computation of avatar joints in the real time. Wow. There's a demonstration, and you see a computer animated person.
Yeah, isn't he cute?
No.
But look at the sign writing. Isn't that cute?
You deaf you?
Yeah, that's what it says.
Right.
You deaf you.
Conclusion. We have presented a new approach for automatically synthesizing 3D signing animations from SignWriting Notation using Avatar technology. TuniSigner has interpreted more than 1,200 notations from different sign languages: American Sign Language, French Sign Language, Egyptian Sign Language, Brazilian Sign Language, Tunisian Sign Language. Unlike the previous works, vSign and SASL projects that generate MPEG-4 BAP sequences directly from the SWML signbox to drive a virtual signer, this system has used a simple gesture description to reformulate the different features of the sign and convert it then into SML for rendering the corresponding signing animations. And thank you for your attention. Wow.
Isn't that wonderful? And you just move over to, I'm going to sit
Okay,
with you. You stay
we're going
with
to
me.
just...
Just give us a second. We're going to just move so I can come in because we're getting close to the next presentation. But it's all good. Nancy, you stay with me. I love it when Nancy is working with me. It helps. Thank you, Nancy. And I think we can go back to me as the big screen. So I'm going to click here. See? Here we are. Our team. You know, this is a long time on computers all day long for 3 days in a row now. So Nancy came and gave me a break. Thank you. And it was beautifully read. And Yosra, I know that you can't see this right now, probably, but I want you to know that later when you do view this, that we did our very best. We don't know your work like you do, and it's up to you, of course, to come back and visit us again when the time is right for you. And we look forward to your presentation to explain it in much more depth. But that was a really beautiful job that Nancy did because it was very slow and clear. No, it wasn't good. And I really liked the PowerPoint that Yosra did as well because it was also very clear. I think what Yosra said there is that there are other avatar projects. For example, I think she mentioned the SAL or something. I can't remember now. I'll go back and look. I believe that's the South Africa. They did an avatar project as well, and they may still be doing it using SignWriting code. Isn't that exciting? Yes. Yeah, I think so. But it sounds like to me Yosra is saying that the WebSign team of programmers developed another way of doing it so that SWML was used in a different way. So that's what I'd like to learn about from Yosra later. So I want to thank Yosra for her work, and we are now going to move on. I'm not